start of today's cannon demonstration, going to lay down some ground rules to keep the insurance people happy. Right here in front of me is a nice bright white line. That's my safety line. It stretches from that bronze mortar there all the way to that gabion basket looking thing right there. At no time during this demonstration can you be on our side of the line. Once they have cleared that gun after the second shot, you're more than welcome to cross over the line, handle the ammunition, talk to us, take all the photographs you want, but until then, please stay on your side. That box has been checked. All right, this year, Fort Ticonderoga, year 1774. Before you was a gun crew that would have been here in 1774. Now, in 1774, there are 29 men of the 26th Regiment of Foot, infantrymen here, and there will be 4 members of the Royal Artillery, like myself, who will be here to teach these fellows how to take care of and use the guns. Now, at the end of the French and Indian War, there will be 35 pieces of artillery here. The fort's going to be started in 1755 by the French. Now, 1759, the French are going to blow up the fort as they evacuate. Now, they're hoping to blow up all of their cannons at the same time. They're going to pack all their cannons full of gunpowder, set everything on fire. Hopefully, all the guns will blow up. None of the guns blew up, and the English are going to go ahead and mount them and use them. So by 1774, you're going to have 65 pieces of artillery here. Now, the vast majority of those are going to be sitting down on the ground, rusting away over at the King's Shipyard on the opposite side of the peninsula here. There'll be 29 pieces of artillery mounted on the walls on garrison carriages like that little one right there. And the majority of those guns will be French 4-pounders. Now, the French and the English like to make and send iron cannons off to their fortifications around the world as well as their ships, because iron is abundant in the earth. It's relatively cheap. You can make a lot more iron guns for your money than you can bronze guns. But iron guns, you have to cast them out twice as thick because the iron is more brittle than the bronze. So it's going to be a nice big heavy gun. So put it in a fort and put it in a ship so you don't have to have people moving it around. Now, under the English, now all the guns are going to get their designation by the weight of the ball that they fire. Remember that, that's on the test. Right, under the English system, you're going to have 3, 6, 9, 12, 18, 24, and 32-pound guns. Under the French system, you're going to have 4s, 8s, 16s, 24s, and 36-pound guns. Now, as I said, most of those guns that are here, that are mounted on the walls, are going to be the French. Now, what we got there is an iron 4-pound French gun. Now, it doesn't matter who made the bloody thing, and it doesn't matter what it's made out of, bronze or iron, they all have the same parts. When I say cannon, all I'm talking about is that tube up on top of that carriage. Now, she's going to be cast out solid, and then they're going to drill a muzzle through it, the bore. It starts out on the front of the gun at the muzzle, and it goes all the way back to the back part of the gun, the breech, the thickest part of the gun, where the explosion will be the greatest. And there at the top of the breech, underneath a lead apron to protect it, will be a 1/4-inch diameter hole known as the vent that's drilled out from the exterior of the gun down into the bore of the gun so you can set off your piece, prime it and set it off. You'll see that in a little bit. On the back of the gun, you've got this little round piece known as a cascable. If you need to lash that gun down or to help you move that gun around or up and down on a gin like that, that's one of the places you're going to tie off ropes to it. Forward of the gun, just forward of the center of gravity, you're going to have 2 little iron arms sticking out known as trunnions. That's your balance point. That's where the gun rests upon the carriage. That's where you're going to pivot it up or down when you go to aim the piece. Now, that is a garrison carriage, also known as a naval carriage, which is different than that field carriage over there with the great big wheels. Now that carriage consists of 2 big pieces of wood known as cheeks. They are held together by wooden transoms and iron transom bolts that pass through. They are going to be resting down upon 2 axle trees. Those axle trees rounded off on the end so you can slide little wheels known as trucks upon them. And you're going to be able to run that gun back and forth on this wooden platform just like on board the deck of a ship. Now, I told you that this is an iron French 4-pound gun, yes?
Yep.
My comrades are going to be handing out to you the cannonballs that this thing fires. I want someone who's been paying attention in class today to tell me what is the weight of one of those iron balls.
4 pounds.
4 pounds, yeah, it's not a trick question. Now, here's where it gets a little bit tougher. Under the English system, you need gunpowder to shoot that cannonball out of there, and under the English system at this time, they have determined that you need 1/3 of the weight of your cannonball in gunpowder to set it out. That gunpowder is going to be kept in these paper cartridges. My comrades are going to be passing out to you. Please feel free to pass those around. Make sure I get those back, especially the cannonballs. I kind of need them for this demonstration. But the question for you is this. Now, in those paper cartridges that are going to be made up by the artillerymen themselves and stored in a powder magazine over there, how much gunpowder in weight resides in one of those paper cartridges?
1.3 pound.
I don't do math. 1 1/3 pounds.
1 1/3 pounds, yeah, or 1.3.
Well, if they're French guns, I'd like it in kilos.
All right, so you're going to need 2 other things to send that cannonball downrange. You're going to need wadding, and what we're going to use today is junk wad. Now, junk wad is nothing more than old hemp rope that you're going to take it apart and stitch those strands together to make a little disc out of it. Now, here's how you're going to load that thing. You're going to put your cartridge in, you're going to put a wad in, you're going to put the cannonball in, you're going to put another wad in, you're going to prime the piece, you're going to get it to maximum elevation, you're going to set it off, and you're going to send that 4-pound cannonball downrange 1.7 miles to hit your target on land or water. Well, your enemy will not always be at great range. Sometimes they're going to get a little bit closer. So then you're going to switch over to a different kind of ammunition, grape shot. Doesn't take a genius to figure out where it's getting its name from. Looks like a bunch of grapes. Now, that, instead of 1 iron ball, contains 9 1 1/4 inch diameter iron balls, all held together on a metal plate with a metal post and that cloth bag. And all together, those 9 iron balls weigh how much?
4 pounds.
4 pounds for that gun. Now, that is a naval carriage. It rests upon a wooden platform. You have to run it in and out, just like on board the deck of a ship you would. Through that embrasure right there, like on the deck of a ship, you're going to be putting it through the portal. I'll take this from you.
Thank you.
All right. Now, the artillerymen are going to teach these infantrymen how to fire these guns, and they're going to go ahead and use a naval drill to do that, known as the exercise of the great guns. Now, ideally, you would have a 5-man crew for this with a 6th individual who would be going ahead and giving out the commands and aiming the piece. We can make do with 3 today, that's no problem. All right, but you're going to have a bunch of tools to do this, and everybody's going to know their own position plus everybody else's position. We're going to start out with that gentleman right there on the front right. His tool is a sponge rammer. It's nothing more than a hardwood pole, and on one end of it, you got a sheepskin fleece that's been tacked down to it. Now you're going to put that sheepskin fleece into a bucket of water and wring it out and run that sponge down the bore of the gun to make sure there are no burning embers down in that gun before you put that paper cartridge in. Otherwise, who is ever doing that is going to have a really bad day. And on the back end of his sponge, he's got a rammer head so he can ram it all down. So the first person who's going to have a bad day is going to be him. Now, across from here, you're going to have that gentleman right there. He's doing double duty today, so he's got 2 tools with him. One is going to be that wad hook right there. It's a wooden pole, and on the end of it, you got that iron pigtail. Now, after you shoot the gun, his job is to send that pigtail down in through the gun, the bore of the gun, turn it around several times, and extract from the bore of the gun any smoldering paper cartridges or wadding. Get that out. And in case needed, he's got another rammer head on the opposite side. Now, my job today is going to be several. One of them is I'm going to be running the charges forward, as well as the wadding, and that's going to be contained in this lovely Gucci imitation bag of mine, known as a haversack. Another thing I'm going to be doing is picking and priming the gun so that we can set it off, and to do that, I need two tools. One of them is going to be this iron pick, and with this I'll go down into the vent, and at first, under this drill, check to make sure the cartridge is there, and secondly, when the time comes, poke a hole in that cartridge so I could prime it using this bullock's horn that's been hollowed out. It contains 2 pounds of really fine gunpowder, and to let it come out, you just push down on that spring right there, and gravity feeds it out. And to set that powder off, this gentleman, he's doing two jobs today. He's going to be using that slow match right there on that lens stick. Now, slow match is nothing more than hemp cord that has been soaked in potassium nitrate and sulfur and gunpowder and spirits of wine, alcohol, and boil it for a while. And then you take it out and let it dry for about 3 days, slowly, and then you light it up and it burns really hot and really slow, hence the name, slow match. Now, this, as I said, is a naval drill. It's going to have several commands to load and fire this gun. And the very first command for the gun crew that they're going to hear is, take heed! And with that, you're going to fall into your positions on the gun. Next, they're going to hear the command of silence! And you're just going to be quiet so you can hear what's going on. You all are doing a pretty good job of that. Next, you're going to get a command to lay off the apron. And you're going to move this lead apron out of the way. Stop the touch hole. You're going to take your thumb, if you're me, and put it over that vent hole, because we're creating a vacuum seal. Next, you're going to give a command to this fellow to handle sponge staff. And he's going to take up that sponge, put it in a little bit of water, wring out the excess. And when he's ready, you're going to get the command to sponge the gun. And as I said earlier, the sponge is going to go down into the bore of the gun. You're going to turn it around several times and then extract it. That thump was the vacuum seal that was breaking. Now, the next command is going to be to handle cartridge. And usually there's a person back here who's going to run this forward, take out a cartridge, hand it off to this gentleman right here, who's going to get the command to put it in the gun. And guess what he does? Next, you're going to get a command to wad to your cartridge, and you're going to hand off a wad to him. He's going to put that down the bore. Me, I would never be moving. There would be another person here who would never take his thumb off this vent. And this fellow's going to get the command to handle rammer, ram down cartridge and wad. And that cartridge and wad are going to get rammed all the way back to the breech of the gun. But unlike an army drill, you're not going to pull that rammer out. You got to make sure that that cartridge is where it's supposed to be. So the next command is going to be to handle priming wire, try if the cartridge be home, and I'll go down there and ever so gingerly feel for that cartridge. If it's not there, I'll tell him to ram it again. But it is there, so he's going to get the command to draw a rammer, and then we're going to get the command to shut the gun, and that fellow's going to take a cannonball and put it down the bore of the gun. Then you're going to get the command to wad, and you're going to hand off a wad. He's going to put that on top of that ball, and then you're going to get the command to ram down, shut, and wad, and then it all gets rammed down home. Then it's going to be to lay on the apron, run out the gun. They're going to pick up these wooden levers known as crows and handspikes, and they're going to help them. They're going to run that gun out. Next, you're going to get a command to handle priming horn. And the priming horn comes back from a secure location. It'll be brought forward, and you'll get the command to prime. And you're going to take your priming wire, go down into the vent this time, and poke a hole in that paper cartridge. Withdraw this, and then prime. And you're going to take a little bit of that fine powder, go down into the vent, mound a little bit on top of it, and then with the reverse end of the priming horn, bruise the priming, and you're going to grind it up a little bit to make it a little bit finer. Lay on the apron, secure the priming horn, get this bomb back to a safe location. Then you're going to get the command to point the gun to the object. We're going to aim the piece. And they're going to put their levers underneath the gun and using hand signals to move the gun left or right and verbal commands of up. So I can move my coin, which I failed to tell you about. This is how you're going to aim the piece with this aiming wedge. Down! Lay down your crows and hands point! The gun's aimed. We got a dead shot at Vermont. Can't miss. Lay off the apron! Take up your match and blow it. Literally that. He's going to take that up, that lens stick up. He's going to adjust out his match and blow on it so it's glowing nice and hot. And then he'll get the command to fire!
Oh, you got a bird over there.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Was that fast?
No.
Was that fast?
No.
It's not meant to be fast. This is a slow, deliberately slow drill. And going slow will teach these infantrymen how to better use their artillery should they need it. Now he's going down into the barrel of the gun with that worm to extract that. Once he does that, I'm going to lay my thumb on top of that vent again so we can sponge the gun. And the gun's going to get sponged out again to make sure there's no burning embers down in there.
Did you shoot a ball?
Put it in the gun!
Yeah, he did it.
What, to your cartridge? No, I did not shoot a ball out of there. Sink back. Who said that? Ass. Okay, simple physics. For every action, there's an opposite and equal
Reaction.
Very good. So if a ball would have went that way, what is this?
Oh.
No, it did not recoil. I don't want to end up in Vermont as a guest eating vegan bologna for a couple of years. Waiting for my time to expire.
I could have sworn they put a ball
I thought he
inside.
put a ball in there.
Ram down, cartridge in one. Try if the cartridge be home. Draw rimmer, shot the gun. One. Ram down, shot in one. Lay on the apron. Run out with the gun. Handle priming horn. Prime.